Hello. Hi, Victoria.
Hi, I was staring into the camera like, am I on now?
And my light just went. It's nice to see you and to finally meet you. How are you?
Yes,
I
nice to
love your
meet you. I love your hair. It's so nice.
and I love yours. I was about to say I love what's going on with yours. All right, so we just have a few persons on here, but we're going to go ahead and get started because these are questions that people have been asking me about. So it's good to still produce the information for them. So we're going to get right into it. You can hear me clearly and everything is okay?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Perfect.
Okay.
So
If you
let's
hear a bit of an echo, it's because I'm in a new space,
okay.
so haven't proofed it as yet.
All right, no problem. All right, so let's start off, of course, by introducing yourself. Like, tell us who is Victoria of Victoria Taylor Marketing.
So, as you know, my name is Victoria. I'm a digital and content marketer, right? Not a social media manager, a digital and content marketer. And this means someone who does marketing on digital platforms. And I do content marketing, which is creating content for brands and businesses to put on that digital platform. So that's what I've been doing for 4+ years. I've worked for companies locally here in Jamaica and a few marketing agencies here, as well as abroad through my freelancing. So I have quite a bit of experience.
Which is good, which is good. So, like, has marketing always been what you wanted to do, like from the get-go?
Originally, and I think then Danny Gates, we went to UTech together. So I went to UTech. I originally studied engineering, structural engineering, and I just did it because, I grew up on a construction site. My mom was a project manager. I was used to that kind of lifestyle, so I fell into it. But I realized it wasn't something that I loved to do. And it wasn't until after I had finished studying that I took some time to kind of find out what I wanted to do while working.
Right.
And this company in LA needed somebody to help them with their marketing. And I was like, okay, let me help you. And then I was like, the aha moment hit me where I was like, oh, wait, I think I really like this.
Right.
I think I might want to do this. And then I started to research, can people do this for a living? Is this what you can do? And I was like, yeah, I can.
Right.
So I just started from there, going off on my own. I have no formal marketing training.
Right.
Everything,
I don't know. You
waiting for it to focus.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah. Everything has been personal experience. It's all been experience. So it's just 4 years of raw experience and putting my skin in the game, making mistakes, learning from mistakes, and learning from the people around me.
Yeah. But nothing beats like actual experience, to be honest. I'm similar in a sense where like when I started out, like what I'm doing now is not exactly where I thought I would be in terms of what I do. So I definitely understand. All right. So for everybody, for everyone, you currently said that you do content marketing and digital marketing. But for some persons, they believe that that is like just social media. So I don't know if you could just explain content marketing a little bit deeper as well as the digital marketing so they could have a better.
Okay. So digital marketing is almost like it's almost like a cafe, right? So you have waiters, people who do social media management. You have the bakers in the back. They could be people who are digital marketers as well, or they could be analytics. So digital marketing is an entire branch of things. And technically, social media falls under it, but it's not something that we specifically specialize in.
Right.
So digital marketing, we create online strategies. So whether it's marketing on a blog, whether it's marketing with Google Ads, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on other online platforms, apps, and mediums. A social media manager manages social media accounts.
Right.
Right. And a content marketer is someone who creates content or comes up with a content strategy for a brand. Now, a digital marketer and a social media manager can both create content. So that doesn't mean that they specialize in content or they are content marketers or content creators. That's an option. And a content creator isn't always an influencer or a marketer or a
Right.
social media manager. It could just be someone who creates content and that's just their natural talent, which is also a form of artistry. So there are levels to this.
Right. That's what I need to know. All right.
Right. So I could go deep, but that's the most basic description I can give you.
All right. But then for how important do you think that content marketing is now in 2020 with how everything is? How open do you think are people to understanding, I guess, more about this and these changes?
I think the biggest problem that I see with Jamaican brands and a few international brands is that they think that once they make one post, one piece of content, it should just automatically go viral. You should get 1,000 followers. You should get $100,000 in sales, and that's it. That's not what content is about. Content is really about your brand identity,
Right.
building a community, and solidifying what you have to offer a customer. So content is actually about serving to your potential clientele.
Right, right. All right, fair enough. So like I know creating content can be like tedious sometimes. So like how do you go about like creating content? And I guess good content would be based on um whoever it is that
I'm
you
sorry, focus.
or whoever you are providing the content for. But like give us an idea of how is it that you maybe come up with content? Is it based on inspiration or just you have that natural ability of a good imagination?
Okay.
Like how do you come up with it?
I think it goes two ways, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. It's one, the ability to try new things, and two, like being inspired by other people's work and like saving a portfolio of really amazing things that inspire you.
Right, right.
Right? Nobody truly ever just it pops in their head. It's all about research, allowing yourself to do crazy things and going into it. When I create content for a client, I actually ask the client what their brand is, or if they could describe their brand as a person,
Right.
how they would talk, how they would act, and then I would also align with what kind of goals do they have. So is it that you want to show off your products more? Is it that you want to connect with their community more? Is it that you want to let everyone know that you're the best of the best? Because that's going to differentiate what type of content to create. And I put those three questions together, and then I create a massive content calendar for my clients. And I think that's the way that other people can do it. That's free advice. Do it that way. A lot of people make the mistake of creating content for themselves and not for what their brand goals are, what their brand is, or what connects with their actual customer. And that ends up, you either end up with the wrong type of followers or you end up with people who don't buy.
Right, right. Because as you said, at the end of the day, it comes down to serving and ensuring that you're doing it the right way. All right, fair enough.
Exactly.
All right, so as it relates to like online businesses now, let's look on that for a second. For some of the persons who are interested in starting an online business, we know that they can come with some major challenges. So if you could tell us maybe some of the challenges that might be faced when starting an online business.
Okay, this is a completely unrelated marketing challenge, but it's the most consistent challenge I always see people with when they're about to start their online business, is that you have to give yourself approval to start your online business. You can't let other people give you approval or else it's going to stop you with all of your decision making. If you're not 100% sure that this is something you're going to go all in, I'm not saying you won't have moments where you're apprehensive, but if you're not 100% sure that you want to go all in this business, it's going to come out in your marketing. It's going to come out in your lack of goals. It's going to come out in the way that you speak to people or approach people for your products. And that says a lot. So definitely the first thing, it sounds cliche, but it's very true. Believe in what you're doing, even if it's selling clothes or selling a skincare brand or selling a service. If you don't believe it, if you don't trust yourself and give yourself approval going forward, everybody's gonna see it in what you do.
That's true. So you guys hear that, right? That is very key information there. Okay. All right. And what would you say then are some tips and tricks that you would maybe tell persons in starting up, other than of course having that confidence and knowing exactly what you plan to do? what else would you like recommend for someone starting?
I also see a lot of new online business owners not having clear goals, not having clear marketing goals or sales goals.
Right.
So they'll come and be like, okay, so I want new customers. I want customers. And I'll ask, how many customers do you want? How many customers do you want? Because that's going to put you in the mindset of what's realistic.
Right.
You just started. You can't expect thousands of customers. You got to expect a few. And my next goal is, when you start to market, what do you want people to focus on, or what's your main focus?
Right.
If your main focus is sales, you're going to create content and have a strategy around that. If your main focus is brand awareness, just letting people know who you are and what you do,
right.
then your content and your strategy is going to be with that. Likewise with everything else. So having clear marketing and sales goals.
Right.
Don't be like, oh, I want to grow my business. Everyone wants to grow their business. There's nobody who's like, I want to sabotage my business today. It feels like the right day.
No, you know? Sense, right? Exactly.
Everyone wants to grow their business, but when you sit down with yourself and you go through in excruciating detail with a timeline,
right.
what you want to do to grow your business, or which part of your business you want to grow, that's when you start to move forward. And that answers or it points you in the right direction to how you should create content, which online platforms you should be marketing on, which offline platforms you should be marketing on, and how you're going to present your brand to new customers and find that audience and keep them.
All right, good. Thanks for that answer. All right, so now the topic of the century of 2020 is this pandemic. So how is it that marketing, I guess, your business online with the pandemic, do you think it has now like changed persons' views and persons' opinions on how things are now? Because like, for example, I know like old school, a lot of persons don't believe in the whole internet thing being the place for everything. So like, give me feedback on that.
Okay, well, I think Sweet Spot J says business plan helps you with being clear, but about all these things. Yes and no, because I also find that a lot of people have business plans, but they're still not specific.
Right.
A business plan is it's more of an outline for you, and it's more of like a professional courtesy for other people who need to see it.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot too, guys.
So it helps, but you still need to be specific. Right. You still need to sit down. In terms of answering your question, the pandemic and being online, I think a lot of people were forced to see that they had to go online.
Right.
And even before this pandemic, if you were online before the pandemic, you were in a good position if you were actually marketing and pushing yourself, because I saw a lot of young brands grow during COVID. I saw a friend who had a food business. She did deliveries. She increased her service. I saw one of my clients who has a skincare brand. She was pushing out orders. She actually ran out of stock.
Oh, wow.
For 2 months. Oh. And she had pre-orders ready for her. She came to me. She's like, oh my God, COVID happened. I have more orders. What should I do? I don't have any more ingredients. I'm like, take pre-orders, because that means people are willing to wait for you to get what they want from you. Right. And you can get that information and you can always resell to them. And I've seen so many, for those who just started during COVID, which is great, is that they went through a bit of a faster learning curve than most people. Right. Because they were now caught up in the wave of being online and getting things done and all of the other webinars, seminars, and things that were coming into place. Now that COVID has probably slowed down, and again, I did a video about this, about the industries and brands that are actually going to thrive after COVID and during the second wave of COVID.
Right.
And the second wave is coming, right? You've heard it here first. The second wave of COVID is coming, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Are you going to wait to miss out on an opportunity to increase sales during or after another pandemic? That's really the question. So, one, getting online, super important, but two, also making sure that you fully and totally define what you're doing and how you're going to do it. Yeah. I know that it sounds probably a little bit mystical, or I'm going back to the goals and getting it done, because a lot of people overlook this step to, okay, I have my online business, I'm going to start selling. before you start selling, before you start doing content, look at your environment. Look at what's happening right now.
Right.
After COVID is slowing down right now, most people want to leave their homes. They want to have an experience.
Yeah.
Even if you're online, you can still provide people with a great online experience. So use that to your advantage. And that might mean you're going to have to start marketing offline as well. Maybe you're going to have to go in store. Doesn't mean you should fully abandon online, but it does mean that you need to make sure that you're going wherever your customers are going.
Right.
So if they're spending a little bit more time offline because they're enjoying the freedom of finally being able to go to their favorite restaurant or bar, you know, if you sell clothing outfits, now's not the time to talk about, oh, we got this new beautiful skirt. No, reposition it to, you can wear this skirt out because now you're free from quarantine, or get your outfits prepared before quarantine is over. So when you step out, you're your best self.
Right.
You know, so positioning those things, looking at the environment and realizing that everything is changing. Make sure your goals change with what's happening.
Right.
Make sure your actions change with what's happening, because if you're doing the same things as you were doing during the pandemic, you're gonna notice that things are gonna slow down, because Sleekno did a research and they found that during the pandemic, a lot of e-commerce stores had Black Friday traffic.
Oh yeah.
Black Friday
That's crazy.
Characteristics. People were just buying. But you notice, well, I noticed, because I'm looking at the analytics, it's gone down because people are now, COVID started to become the new normal. Things are going back to normal.
Right.
You can't do the same things you were doing at the pandemic. You have to change. You have to reevaluate and reposition. Still trying not to be insensitive or, you know, blind to it.
Yeah.
But that's a really crucial part. It's looking at your environment, changing things, moving when you need to move, or else you're going to miss opportunities on sales.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that's something that I see happen a lot, where sometimes like persons just are hell-bent on not changing, and because of that, it affects their businesses in the long run. All right, so then...
And I agree, sweet spot, JA, I agree. It makes sense about the business plan. Definitely sit down and answer some seriously detailed questions.
It's true. And Denver is asking, he says, could you give an idea as to the necessary details for a startup business?
The necessary details in terms of
that's kind of vague.
What exactly?
Yeah, that's kind of vague.
That's a little bit vague.
Be a little bit more specific with that one, Denver. All right, but in the meantime, back onto the topic of just digital marketing in general. Like, what are some of the challenges that you face, or that people face in general as a digital marketer? And could you give me a little idea of how the freelancing aspect of it, if you find that more challenging? Go ahead.
All right, so challenges I face, challenges other people face, and my experience in freelancing, right?
Right. That's
okay. So challenges that I have faced mainly has been Jamaica is so far behind in certain things.
Right.
We're at that stage where we're just discovering it. Not that we're just discovering, but we've actually started to realize that, oh, this social media thing is a thing.
Works, yeah.
And it's like, it took a deadly virus pandemic for you to realize.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who are far ahead. For the company in Vancouver that I work with, we're beyond social media. We're now using analytics. We're now tracking a buyer's journey. We're changing things, A/B testing. So my struggles would have to be the fact that I love Jamaica and I love working with Jamaican clients, but I find that when I'm trying to tell them, like, you have to do this because this is what's going to set you apart from this, right. It's going to take work because you don't go viral overnight. You don't get all of these followers overnight. The people that you see on Instagram that have 10K followers or 9,000 followers, they've been on Instagram for almost 10 years, right? Almost 5 to 10 years. Right. There is no instant overnight success that does not exist for anybody.
Exactly.
If you look on the YouTubers that have over 300 to 500K followers, up to 1 million, they've been on YouTube for 5 to 10, actually 5 to 15 years. That's true. Right? So the frustration of trying to remind people that this social media is not a get famous quick scheme. It's not a get clients quick scheme. It's an investment. It's a tool. It's something that takes time. I feel like you can hear the frustration in my voice.
Yeah, but that's, I totally understand. I totally understand.
So that's what I really hope for people. Oh yeah, Sweet Spot JA says, oh, a lot of people are saying true, yes, yes, and the resistance to investing and paying you accordingly is so frustrating. Yes, Jamaican people aren't ready to actually invest in real social media marketing, much less digital marketing.
That is
and frustrations that I see my clients have is that some of the people that I've worked with who reached out to me for help, because there are people who, guys, feel free to DM me if you have any questions. They do DM me and they do ask me for things. And I find that they don't know their brand.
Right.
They don't know what their brand is. They don't know what their brand does. They're focused on selling a product, and then they end up either not getting customers, not getting the type of customers that they want, having to discount prices heavily, or just feeling like they have to abandon it altogether. Knowing yourself is just as important as knowing your brand.
Right.
Like for me, I know my brand. There are certain things that I would never do. You would never see Victoria Taylor marketing, and then on my personal page you see a fans only fans page, right?
Yes.
That's not a part of my brand.
Yeah, I guess.
Right? Even though I could make money, but that's not a part of my brand.
Yeah.
Or you'd never see me on certain IG interviews with other people.
Right.
Knowing your brand, and that's a personal thing. But if you have a physical brand, there are certain things your brand should not do. You should have a list of things that your brand does and your brand does not do. And if those things contradict themselves, you don't know your brand, point blank.
That is true.
So definitely knowing your brand. And your brand is not you.
Right.
Right?
Right. That's right.
Your brand may be influenced by you, but your brand is like a child, and a child is its own person.
Right. And you have to treat it as such. All right.
And the last thing you asked me was regarding freelancing.
Yeah.
I've worked in marketing agencies before. I've worked with companies, and actually right now I work with a company and I freelance at the same time.
Right.
I love the flexibility of both. I like structure, but I also like being able to work my own time and whenever I want and however I want.
Right.
Some people, again, getting a job and having a job, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with having a full-time job and starting an online business. Right. And there's nothing wrong with leaving your full-time job and starting an online business.
You guys hear
it's all about what you feel comfortable with and what space you're in. Don't let anybody tell you, quit your job and just put everything in your business. Not everybody's like that. Right. I think BarkBox, which is it's a subscription service where pet owners can order toys for their dogs on a monthly basis. The couple that started that business, they were working full-time jobs until their business was at a place where they left. Spanx, she created the Spanx while she was working, the design of what she wanted because she couldn't find proper pantyhose. And then she left her job fully, then invested money into her business and shipped everything out. And it's a multi-billion. There are different paths to the same goal when it comes to entrepreneurship and starting your online store. So there is no perfect way.
Right.
The basic thing I would tell you, have an email, have a website, have your social media channels, have your business plan, have your goals. Those are the 5 things. Probably that answered the question that was there earlier.
All right. So before we answer Denver's question, read the whole, in terms of the same freelancing, because as you realize, I don't know if you see, but most of the talks, that's what I talk about. Just being able to freelance, working from home, stuff like that. Is it that for you to find clients, you go through the regular, like different platforms, or you just reach out to persons directly? Like, how do you mix it? If you mind sharing.
Okay. One, I do both, where I reach out to people, but most of the time I structure my content and my captions to let people know that I'm open.
Right.
I'm open to giving my services. Even the website that I have, there's a special tab for services. These are the services I provide.
Right.
What do you need me for? This is it. So I create an avenue for people to find me, to hire me when they do need me.
Right.
And I find that when I let clients come to me rather than going to clients, you have a sense of authority, or you can
Control.
pick and choose.
Yeah.
Because not every project you're gonna want. And if you come to them first and like, oh, this is what I want, and then you have to say no, it's like,
Yeah, after
you
all
know,
of that, yeah, I get you.
yeah. And I guess definitely freelancing, knowing when to say no, again, if it doesn't match your brand. And I work remotely. That's something I should point out. I wanted to only find jobs that were remotely because working remotely gives you the flexibility to travel wherever you want. You can, based on the company, set your work hours and you can do what you need to do. I have a friend from Mexico. She remote works for the same company I do. She traveled through Europe while working. All she needed was her laptop and internet and things that she
Exactly.
needed to do. That's it.
That's
So my workspace is my laptop. That's all I need.
right. So, all right, good. So I hope you guys are hearing this and taking notes and making use of this information. So read Denver's question now. He says if you could give an idea as to the necessary details for starting, but I think he meant for putting together a business plan. So he had corrected.
Oh,
Yeah.
a business plan. I am a digital and content marketer. Nice to
Not.
meet you. I I am not a business consultant.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the matters of a business plan,
And that's tricky.
I am not an expert on that. I'm not even gonna try.
Yeah, and that's a
But you
tricky
can
one.
try PandaDocs or Startup.co. They have business plan templates that are actually really great.
Right.
Or you could do a one-page business plan. A lot of people think that they need to do like a 100-page business plan to get started.
No one wants to go through 100 pages, I think.
No. Again, it's more for the business plan is more for you
yeah.
and a professional courtesy to anyone who needs to see it.
Right, yeah. All right, so I guess all right, so there's another question here. What's your strategy in pricing your services given the type of market we are in? That's a very good question.
That is a very good question, and that's such a good question that if you Sweet Spot J, if you go to my account and you check my IGTV channel or my YouTube channel, I have a 15-minute video
On that.
in excruciating detail, and I also have a blog post if you prefer to read on how to create a pricing strategy for your products or services. So I've spoken about that.
Yeah.
And I go in
detail.
depth, like I go in detail. Like you need to probably listen to it 2 times and you get it. Again, I have it on IGTV, I have it on my YouTube channel, and I have it on a blog if you want to know how to price it, because it's a bigger thing than most people let on, and it's such a sensitive thing because it's also kind of tied to your worth in a way,
yeah,
indirectly.
Exactly. Because honestly, that's something up to this week I was literally struggling with, because like I do, as I said, I work from home, but I also like freelance with certain stuff, and it's the same thing. I'm wondering, all right, so I've never done this before. How do I price this? What? So yeah, that was a good question, Speech Spot. Thanks for asking. All right.
And I also find that no matter how high up you get in your expertise or your industry, even the pros go through the problem of pricing their products. Right. So that never goes away, FYI, it never goes away. You just grow to how you could handle it.
Yeah. All right, good. All right, so the next question I have is, what advice can you give to someone who is interested now in starting, whether it's to become a digital marketer or starting an online store? What would you suggest to them right now before we wrap up?
Okay, for somebody who's starting an online store, I'd give them 2 separate ideas. For one, when you're starting an online store, you need to find out what makes you unique. Another thing that I see a lot of business owners, especially when they're young, I ask them, okay, so why should I buy your product? Because it has the best ingredients, or because it's unique, or because it's one of a kind. It's not. It's not unique. It's not one of a kind. Somebody's probably thought about it, and that's not enough for me to buy.
Right.
Instead, your response should be, if it's a skincare brand, I cater to women of color to give them a refined experience so that they can use non-toxic, animal cruelty-free products to have a better life. You right there define what your brand is, who you're selling to, and what you're all about, and why I should buy from you.
Right.
So be more detailed in, again, your brand. Who are you? What do you do? Who do you sell to? And what are you providing for me?
Right.
Think of that statement as in a way of not just saying like, oh, I'm great, but saying how this is what I can do for you.
Right.
This is what I offer you, right? And if you are a digital marketer, I would say be prepared to never stop learning, because there are always new things out there. You're always gonna have to read, even when you, from the moment you start to the moment here, all the amazing people that I look up to and the people at my level, we're still reading.
Right.
We're still reading because things in digital marketing and social media change all the time.
Yeah.
There's always somebody doing something amazing out there, and if you're not up to date, you can't bring that new zest or make your twist on it or create something entirely new. And you definitely don't want to be the digital marketer that just gives the basic marketing tips like, oh my God, guys, remember to post consistently. Like,
yeah.
everybody knows.
Everybody knows that best.
You know?
Yeah.
Exactly. And if you are if you're starting your online business or you are an aspiring digital marketer, again, you can DM me for questions. I'm also on YouTube. I do Tuesday tips, where every Tuesday I give tips on how to grow and market your brand. Free tips that I find some Jamaican marketers are charging money for, that they don't need to charge money for.
Right.
So y'all, it's free. It's up to you.
So guys, check it out. Oh, you could tell them your page name again, because I know they just have Victoria Taylor. So you could.
Okay, so my page name is vitalvines.co. So, oh, hi, baby mango friend. All right. So vital.
Oh, nope, that's not it, guys. I'm typing it.
So no, that's not it, guys.
Yeah,
so it's Vital Vines. Oh, you misspelled it.
No, it's the typo. The phone spells it how I want it to. But I'm trying to correct it here. I'm gonna.
So vitalvines.co, guys. Check out my IGTV. A lot of free tips for YouTube. I have blog posts. I've covered for people who learn by reading, people who learn visually, like me. I'm a visual learner.
Right.
So yeah, what about any other?
All right. In the meantime, guys, does anyone have any questions for Victoria? You could put them in the box before we wrap up. And it's the same, as she said, like, never stop learning. It's very important. That's also a post I'm actually working on now, is to put out some of those, because there's so many online courses to learn these things too. Right. And now is the time, especially if you're at home because of the pandemic, make use of the time. All right. All right. So I guess we have no more questions.
You guys don't have any questions? Not one?
Nothing.
None of you have any marketing, branding, business, digital marketing questions. But I have a question for you. I think I probably missed. How have you been? Do you think that working online is a form of job security?
Okay. So is that for me or for everybody?
That's for you. That's for you.
All right. So 1 second. All right. So is quality imagery important? Can you market with average visuals? Another good question.
Okay, so 876 Izzy.
Right.
That is a two-part question. Number one, quality imagery is the most important things. You can look on, I would say website, because I don't like to go straight to the Instagram page. Right. You can look on somebody's website and you can see whether or not they're professional or they stole this image from somebody and they're trying to be professional, right? And now let me use the Instagram. You can look on somebody's Instagram and you can instantly know this is professional, this is somebody I feel like I can trust, I can buy from, or this is Keisha at our yard and she prop it up by the wall and no, I don't know about that, you know? So we're visual creatures, so whether it's on your website, whether it's on your social media, it is super important. And even if you're gonna take images from stock image places, how you use them is also important. Just taking them and using them is not the way to go. Again, I also have a video on product photography. If that's something, if it's photography of you or those, it has to be of high quality. We live in the world of it being Insta famous, high quality pictures. They are more important. Looks are way more important than the sometimes than the value that you bring.
Right.
So definitely invest in a photographer, invest in a good phone that has a good quality camera, invest in some photo editing apps, because your visuals are really important. People judge books by their cover. That's how they buy books.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
All right, good. So to answer the question that you asked me about job security by working remotely, for me personally, because of where my mindset is at, for me, I feel sick. All right. So firstly, what I do is I teach English online for a company. In that one,
Nice.
I don't feel very secure there, right? Because that's for other people. So, you know, anything can happen at any point in time. I love it. It's everything to me. But at the same time, there are a lot of things that I want to do for myself. And there are a lot of skills that I possess. So I do know that if something goes wrong tomorrow with that company, I can always find something else still online remotely, because there's so many opportunities out there. So for me, I feel like online sense does have some more security than the regular. Because honestly, like I have like a year experience in the actual office setting, and I don't really want to go back there, so I have no intentions of doing that. So it's really just to have that mindset and that focus that you need to get this done. And the more you build something for yourself, I think, it's the more secure that you will feel. Because once it's anything for anyone else, there's never security, in my opinion. Yes, ma'am.
That is very true. The only thing that is truly secure is your own
Exactly.
business,
Exactly. All right.
because it's all based on you.
Right. All right. Good. So someone asks if they could have a summary of your presentation. Please, they
If
just
they could have a summary of what?
of the presentation because they joined a little bit late.
Oh, okay. We were talking about starting your online business, having an online business during a pandemic, and content marketing. So we spoke about how to start an online business, why it's so important, especially now that this pandemic has pushed people online and more people are susceptible to buying. Making sure that you're aware of what's happening, where your customers are going, and if whether or not the pandemic comes with a second wave or things go back to normal, you have to change your messaging and your marketing to match that to attract your customers. Some of the frustrations that business owners have, or some of the things that they struggle with, is that they don't know their brand, or they don't have clear marketing or sales goals, which are super important. Instead of saying, I want to grow my business, you have to be more precise. How many customers do you want? How many sales do you want? What is your content goal? What's your sales goal? What's your marketing goal? And advice starting is brand. You are not your brand, but your brand is influenced by you. Your brand is your own child. So make sure that it has its own personality. And if you're unsure and you're doing your marketing and you're doing your sales about you or your brand, it's going to come out in everything you do, and it's going to be very obvious. So definitely be accountable to yourself, believe in yourself, and be detailed in what you want to get from your business. And I also have, again, guys, Tuesday tips, DM me if you have any questions, vitaladvice.co.
Yes. All right. And Baby Mango Friend said working from home definitely helps in a pandemic. It does. In and out of the pandemic, it does. All right. So if there are no other questions, Victoria, thank you so much for joining this evening. It was a great talk, and I'm sure it was helpful to everyone who was in this chat today. Of course, continue to stay in contact, keep in touch. Always a pleasure, and enjoy.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
No
Thank you
problem.
so much. Thank you.
No problem. Take care and enjoy the rest of your evening. And bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Take care.
Bye.